So I removed the motor, the pump, not seeing any debris over here, not seeing any damage. So I'm like, what's going on? Can't find anything. Everything looks good. Well, everything I read said that's going to be my problem. So when you go over to this compartment, you see that? That looks like a pretty big chip of metal, and all down there is where all that metal is. And if you look really close at this gear here on the side looks real nice. It's real hard to see. And this one, if you look at it, is completely different. It's all worn away. And I'm thinking what's worn away is sitting on the bottom and on the magnets. So I think this gear is my problem. So this might be a real cheap fix, for me at least. We'll see. So here's the deal. I was taking a look at the schematic, and turns out these differential gears are supposed to be the same. So I could tell this one on the left is way worn away, and I don't know if these top two are worn away or not. It's hard to tell. There's one up top and there's one down below. I can see what looks like wear, but maybe that's the way they're supposed to be. But the good news is, according to the parts list, you pay your 25 bucks and you get all four of them. So I'm going to replace all four of those, and in the meantime I'm gonna clean this thing out. So basically I'm gonna try and degrease it and get as much metal out of there as possible without making a mess, and get everything back together, and then I'll pull out these gears. So here's what I've opted to do. I have a rare earth magnet, actually two of them on the end of a screwdriver that are really strong. I'm talking really strong. Wow. And you can see what I'm pulling out of there. So I'm going to go through and do that and remove all the particles, rather than, I'm worried if I clean this whole thing out with water, it would need to be all put back together right and all oiled properly, and that. The right hand side of this compartment doesn't even have any metal in it. So I'm just going to be very careful with the parts I put back in, and oil them and just take my time. And then from there we're going to remove the drive shaft there and get at those gears. Well, all I can say is this has been one of those projects, and what you're looking at here is hopefully a happy ending for this. I broke a bolt because when I was putting on the cover, somehow it hit one of these gears. It was stuck on the gear. I didn't know it. I was torquing it and it broke. So right now I just had to drill out a broken bolt, and I did not think that I would get it out. And they're very tough to get out. I have a video on how to drill out broken bolts, and if you look right here, I just got it out. I got very lucky. I just spent about 15 minutes trying to get that out, and I used one of those easy outs. I thought I was done. So I don't know, still working on getting the case back in this. I got to do a little research on how to do it. So this piston is for the pump, and I'm just trying to carefully get it on the shaft here, and it's spring loaded, and that looks like it's seating real nice. So I got that on there. That's the first step in your rebuild. Okay, so now I'm going to be working on the motor block. As I said, a lot of times this is what goes bad. These pistons get to be a little bit loose in here. They should be about a thousandth of an inch smaller than the cylinder around them. Okay. Now, the first thing you have to do with your motor block is there's this little pin, and we have to be very careful because these two things can pop out. So what you want to do is hold them, and there's a hole right here. There is a very small key or something. I don't know if it's a valve or what, but it's going to go in that little hole, and you have to be careful that it doesn't fall out the back side. So I'm going to switch my hand. So there's a couple parts that can be loose on there. So now I have that in place, and we don't want to lose it. You want to be particularly careful. Once you have that, you'll notice that on the back of the motor is a washer. You don't want to lose that. So I'm going to really carefully put this motor on the shaft. So you can see there's a lot of little parts here. So there's a race, and then there's bearings, and all that slides on there like that. And when this is in the transmission, this wide part of this wedge should be facing up. So now I have all that where it needs to be, and now I'm going to ever so carefully try and align the hole and not lose that little pin. Alright, so we got that there, I believe. And I just want to make sure that that pin did not fall out, and I can see it right in there. There's the back end of it. So you want to make sure that that stays in place. So I'm just holding that little pin in place, and I'm going to try and pick this up for you guys and get it where it belongs, or put it where it belongs, I should say. So carefully lining this thing up. You can see it's a tight fit. You want to be sure that you listen carefully so nothing falls, and that's the sound of the pistons moving a little bit. And we need to make sure that this bearing gets in the right spot. Looks like it goes right there. There's an alignment pin down here that needs to seat. There it goes. And you can see that drop down. I think everything's about where we want it to be. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lightly kind of tap on it with a mallet. Just see if it seats. There we go, that sat. Alright, I think we got everything in place there. There's a little, this is kind of like a disc brake, and this is a brake pad. That one's going to go on that side, and this one's over here. They kind of squeeze together, so don't forget them. Alright, so there's these 14mm bolts that need to be tightened. There's 3 of them. I broke a bolt, so that's why I had this thing apart. I actually had to drill it out. These bolts, there's like a narrow spot in the middle. They're actually made to break. I had my torque wrench set at about 43, and it said you can torque it up to 47 foot-pounds. These things were really tight. I'm just going to hand tighten them to what I think is good, and obviously I have to order a new bolt when I get some parts with this thing. So I got real lucky that I was able to drill that out. So now I'm just going to tighten those up to what I think is good and not overdo it. Another thing, what I noticed is if you use the bypass switch, you can rotate the pump. Here you go. You can rotate that piston. It's not easy to rotate, but you can rotate it, and that'll show you if everything's working all right. And it seems to be. Everything's looking good. So I'm happy so far. So to finish up your rebuild, there's these gears that go in, and you know, you got a washer, a main gear, a bigger gear in the middle, and then there's a spacer on this side and another washer, and this end has a notched side. This actually sets right in here. Just like this. So you just kind of lower it into place, and it should fit right in for you. And you can see how it locks together. It's not timed or anything, but it just goes right in there, just like that. So that's basically what you would have to do if you were going to replace these the motor and the pump pistons. And obviously when you put these parts in here, you really want to oil them up good if they're brand new. Mine already have oil on them, plus I add a little bit of oil to help them out. But my main problem is up here. It's on these gears. They're stripped away. Maybe you can see it a little better here. I didn't notice it right away, but this one is in much better shape on this side. So now I'm gonna work on that. Just as a quick reminder, there's a magnet that goes here, and there's also a filter that goes there. So I will show that a little later when I get my parts. Okay, so now what we're going to be working on is trying to get this differential out of here. First thing that you need to do is in here is a little thrust washer, this U-shaped thing. We're going to slip that right out. Alright guys, I was able to get the differential out. First of all, if you could imagine the shaft of the axle coming out like the left side here, first thing you do is pull the clip that comes right out with the screwdriver, and then you yank on the axle, you pull it, and this will actually pop loose, and you take a screwdriver with like a magnet or something, you can pull that out, and that'll allow this gear to come off. You can see that this gear has a cracked tooth right there. That's the better of the two gears. The one on the other side, you can see how all the teeth are worn down. So these two are supposed to look the same. You can kind of see how those teeth are angled down, and this one has like a almost like a cove cut out of it, or bevel or something. So this is our problem. And when you buy the kit, I think you get all of these gears, including these spider gears. Now I don't know if these are damaged or not. They look a little chewed up, so I'm going to replace those as well. And you know, I'm pretty sure this is what's wrong with my hydro transmission. So I wish I would have noticed this first before I pulled out the two pumps, or the pump and the motor, but I didn't. And it's one of those jobs that I didn't think would take nearly as long as it did. But you know, a broken bolt can really slow you down. I'm just lucky I didn't have to scrap the project, because this transmission is about $700. So I think anybody could fix it, especially after watching this video and reading some of the posts on the internet with pictures. So to wrap the video up, there's a couple things that I need to tell you. First of all, taking the transmission out of the tractor only took about a half an hour, but I used a jack and I had some jack stands and it made things pretty easy. The transmission that I was working with was a T40 transmission in a John Deere. It's also the same as like a K46, I believe. So if you have a transmission like this, I would say if it's not running right, check out the pump, look at those pistons, check out the motor. That's usually the most common thing. The transmission that I had was made by the company Tough Torque. That's TUFFTORQ, and they have a pretty good website with all kinds of information and parts. And if you call them, they're excellent at, you know, telling you what you'll need and all that stuff. There's a little tag on the back of your transmission that has some serial numbers and that type of stuff, and that's what you'll need to give Tough Torque in order to get the parts. And I found that their parts were very reasonably priced. I think it's going to be 25 bucks for all the 4 gears that I need, and then I'm going to get a filter, I'm going to get the hydro oil and a couple other little things. The snap ring I had's kind of bent, so it's going to be a relatively cheap fix for me. Another thing that I found really interesting when talking to Tough Torque was that John Deere puts 10W30 oil in all these transmissions. They're made by Tough Torque and then they're filled up by John Deere, I guess. So it's probably to save some money. And you know, they recommend at Tough Torque that you use synthetic. I think it's like 10W50 or something like that, or something. And then the last thing was, as far as John Deere goes, they don't service these transmissions. They call this, my neighbor brought it there, they called it unserviceable. So unfortunately my neighbor already bought a new Craftsman, so you know, it could have been a cheap fix for him. But anyhow, I will make a second video for you on putting the gears in, I guess. That shouldn't take too long. And I'll show you the thing running. I'm not going to show you putting it back on the tractor. It's really not too hard to do. It's like 4 or 5 bolts, one wire, and that disengaging rod thing. So I'm Double Wide 6. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And stay tuned. And we're going to have a follow-up in a couple weeks after we get the parts. Thanks for watching.